As of May 2026, Omax Autos Limited has completely shed its skin. They've transitioned from a legacy component supplier into an absolute industrial engineering powerhouse. The fundamental state of this company is incredibly strong right now, and the underlying financial data is pointing to a massive structural shift. Today, in this explainer, we're tearing down the specific mechanics of this pivot. We're going to look directly at the exact market data, the operational metrics, and the balance sheet realities driving this entire story. Let's get right into the numbers. Section 1. Breakout and Fundamental Re-rating. The immediate market catalyst that forced this fundamental re-rating was pretty aggressive, locking in at a 20% upper circuit on May 5, 2026. So what actually triggered that upper circuit? Well, it's all right here in the definitive Q4 FY26 breakout data. The company disclosed a staggering 3,438% year-on-year surge in quarterly net profit. Yeah, you heard that right, over 3,000%. This single metric was the absolute confirmation the market needed to prove Omax had successfully shifted from being just a peripheral component supplier into a central proxy for India's booming infrastructure. Now, look at the raw mechanics of the operating leverage at play here. It's fascinating. At the top line, a 53% jump brought in 484.50 crore rupees in FY26 audited revenue. But here's the kicker. Because Omax finally crossed its fixed cost break-even threshold, that 53% top-line growth just cascaded straight down. It flowed through their expanded Lucknow and Patnagar capacity and produced a massive 34-fold increase in profit after tax. The big takeaway here is absolutely crucial. Omax is literally harvesting maximum margins from every single industrial order they process right now. Section 2. The structural turnaround phase. Now, exponential profit growth like that doesn't just happen overnight, right? We have to zoom out and look at the historical context of this non-linear growth. This timeline maps out their 5-year structural turnaround perfectly. Starting over on the left in FY 21-22, the company was still stuck in a post-pandemic recovery phase. We're talking negative EBITDA margins and intense structural cost cutting. But then, moving into FY 22-23, we hit the absolute turning point. They made the strategic pivot away from two-wheelers and pushed into commercial vehicles and industrial segments. And they did this while holding high debt, which was a bold move. By FY 24-25, they entered a consolidation phase, prioritizing debt reduction while scaling up railway rolling stock orders. All of that grueling groundwork set the stage for the momentum phase in April 2026, leading directly to the May breakout we just analyzed. Section 3. Repositioning the core moat. To really grasp why those margins exploded, we need to examine the specific business model transition that redefined the company's core moat. This comparison directly contrasts the legacy business against their current state. In the past, their core focus was two-wheeler frames. That meant their macro driver was tightly tethered to the rural consumer cycle, which can be volatile and usually results in low-margin, standard components. But contrast that with the current reality. Their core focus is now complex structural assemblies for commercial vehicles and Indian railways. This effectively makes the company a direct proxy for India's infrastructure and logistical overhaul. They are operating with a vastly improved margin profile now, driven by higher-value stainless steel and medium and heavy commercial vehicle chassis. But the crucial point here is how entrenched they've become in this new ecosystem. Expanding capacity at Lucknow and Pantnagar wasn't just about churning out more output, it was about integration. They've secured near-monopolistic supply dynamics with key OEMs. Think about it. They're providing truck frame assemblies directly to Tata Motors and structural components to Ashok Leyland. Because of these deep-rooted relationships, Omax isn't just an easily replaceable vendor anymore. They've transitioned into a highly integrated, indispensable manufacturing partner. Section 4. Macro and sector tailwinds. Let's shift gears to the external environment and evaluate the macroeconomic drivers providing the fuel for this expanded capacity. The immense scale of the sector tailwinds is clear as day. Omax is perfectly aligned with the National Rail Plan and the broader Atmanirbhar Bharat manufacturing push. Sitting right at the center of the strategy is the massive 2.52 lakh crore rupee Indian Railways capex for FY26. Because Omax has pivoted to higher-value stainless steel railway components, they now have phenomenal multi-year visibility. They are directly tapping into accelerating projects like the Vande Bharat trains and the Amrit Bharat station redevelopment schemes. Section 5. Financial engineering and maturation. Operational growth is only half the equation, right? We absolutely have to assess the financial engineering and balance sheet restructuring that was happening simultaneously behind the scenes.
The aggressive deleveraging you see on this chart is exceptional. Notice the black line. The debt-to-capital ratio peaked at 0.285 back in 2023. As of 2026, it has plummeted to a highly stable 0.184. At the same time, follow the blue line, the EBITDA margin. While debt was dropping, EBITDA margins expanded from negative territory in 2022 all the way up to an impressive 12.4% currently. This proves that their aggressive deleveraging was synchronized perfectly with their high-margin operational expansion.
And if you want the definitive proof of that balance sheet strength, it's right here. The board declared an interim dividend of 2.5 rupees per share, which is a 25% payout. Let's be real, a company only does this when it has supreme confidence in its free cash flow stability. Furthermore, look at the bottom right. The appointment of internal auditors M/TSA Business Advisors is a clear signal of a definitive move toward institutionalized governance. And that's backed up by an unmodified opinion secured from their statutory auditors. Section 6. Bull versus bear synthesis. As objective equity analysts, we always have to weigh this compelling fundamental data against the inherent structural risks. On the bull reality side, the arguments are solid. Massive operating leverage has been fully activated, a solid margin buffer has been secured via higher-value stainless steel railway components, and there's clear multi-year infrastructure CapEx visibility. However, you must carefully weigh the bear reality. The company still carries high client concentration risk. They're heavily reliant on the commercial vehicle volumes of Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland. There's also a distinct black box transparency issue. Because they lack frequent earnings calls, operational hiccups like a cybersecurity incident reported in April 2026 were only disclosed post facto. Finally, persistent external threats from specialized steel volatility and global trade tensions remain very active risks. To synthesize all of this data, the current market valuation reflects a completed transition. Omax Autos has officially moved from being a struggling deep value play into a legitimate growth at reasonable price, or GARP, contender. They stand positioned at the exact intersection of a commercial vehicle upcycle and an accelerating national railway renaissance. The objective data proves this pivot is very real and currently highly profitable. But the ultimate question you have to ask yourself when looking at these numbers is this. Given their high client concentration, exactly how deeply insulated is Omax if the broader Indian infrastructure CapEx cycle suddenly cools down?